Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Yeah, the media is always giving you a one-sided story, right? They're always telling the side of the establishment or the side of the DNC. In other words, they're never actually telling the truth, and where I believe this is most apparent was in their coverage of everything related to the January 6 hostages. And of course, we saw this play out more recently after President Donald Trump decided to pardon the J6 hostages, or at least 1,500 of them. And as we know, the media coverage has been pretty steady on this, right? It's unacceptable. They're a bunch of criminals that basically deserve to rot in prison. So black and white with the media, no nuance, and especially no facts. Well, I'd like to continue challenging this narrative that the Democrats have built up here. What I'm about to show you, I think, is truly going to put it all into perspective. I have a video that was just released by one of the January 6 hostages, an individual by the name of Chris Quaglin, where he shows the interrogation process that he faced. This is the hardened criminal that the Democrats wanted to lock up and throw away the key. This is what they're outraged over. But of course, most importantly, this shows you exactly how unjustified and politically one-sided these prosecutions were, how far the FBI took it in their goal of cracking down on everything Trump. If you thought the last update was bad, that over 5,000 FBI employees were involved in these shakedowns and prosecutions, that's over 10% of the entire department if you thought that was bad, and that proved political bias. Well, let me tell you, this is 10 times worse. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Okay, so like I said, Chris Quaglin just posted his J6 interrogation, and it is beyond disgusting. This man was threatened, coerced, and told to rat or he would never see his family again, and he was threatened with over 30 years in prison by the two feds interrogating him, pretending as if they were doing him a favor. Just take a look at this.
Just so you know, we talked to your wife, kind of explained what's going on right now, and what's going to happen throughout the day. Hopefully we'll get you a chance to talk to her a little bit later today. I know if I was in your shoes, a wife and a young kid, that kind of would be on top of my mind right now. So just want to let you know we're conscious of that, and we're trying to help you out on that front. I know all that. I've talked to a lot of people who knew you were there and have already told me that. So I'm not here to get a confession out of you. I don't need it, to be honest. What I'm here today to do is to try to throw your life book. So right now, you're getting booked on several charges that carry decades worth of time right now. Those are maximums. You're not necessarily going to see all that, but 111B carries up to 20 years, 231 carries up to 10 years. Entering a protected place because Vice President Pence was there. It's a Secret Service protected area. That's a 5-year sentence as well. So looking at quite a bit of time right now. I'm not necessarily interested in screwing Chris Quaglin. That's not what I'm out here to do. What I'm here looking at is organizations, big pictures, planning, casting a wide net. And right now, I don't think it's fair for all of that pressure to come down directly on you when I know there's others who are involved, others who are responsible. And the reason I wanted to drive up here today and talk to you rather than wait until after you've had your appearance and gotten an attorney and done all those other things is because this is an active, ongoing investigation. Time is of value to us and to you, as I'm sure you've seen on the news coverage, because I know you've been checking the web pages. We're arresting people every day. We arrested people yesterday. You're not the only person we're arresting today. We're arresting more people Thursday, Friday, over the weekend. You're like number 350 that we've arrested. A lot of those people are talking and giving us information which will lead to other people. I tell you that so that you know that this is kind of a time-sensitive proposal that I'm offering you right now. If we don't talk now, whatever information you may be willing to provide a month from now is not necessarily going to be of use to me anymore, because I'm going to get it from somebody else who we're going to arrest on Friday or next Tuesday or whatever it is. We just got them lined up right now. So I'm here to kind of throw you that raft right now to help you from drowning, basically, because I don't want you to go away for 40 years and not see your daughter grow up and force your wife. To be frank, like in the overall scheme of what happened that day, people died. 5 people died. We've got people with lifelong debilitating injuries. People have lost eyes. They've had limbs amputated. They've had traumatic brain injuries. To date, nobody that I've seen that you're on camera assaulting has had anything like that. So, on the broad spectrum of things, like, you're not one of my most egregious If when I get out of this room, I can call the United States Attorney and say, hey, I just spoke with Mr. Quaglin, we talked through the whole thing, he's willing to cooperate and help and do what he can, and then they stand in front of that judge when he's making a decision about whether you're going to be held pre-trial for 18 months or however long it's going to take for your trial to actually happen, or if there's things that can be done to maybe make it so that doesn't need to happen. No promises, but I can almost guarantee you if we don't talk today, that's not going to happen.
There you freaking have it. A man who was exercising his constitutional right to protest was treated like a mafia informant. He was treated like a murderer, pressured to betray his family and the people around him so the regime could build up this fraudulent case, and they threw everything at him. You'll never see your family again. Oh, and just so you know, these charges that you're facing carry up to 10 and 20 years in prison respectively. They threw everything at this guy as if he was a freaking terrorist. And we know that that's the approach that they were taking because that's really, what they've been saying in the media, that these people should essentially be treated as domestic terrorists. And so obviously the next question that now follows is, well, what exactly did this guy do to be facing all of this time in prison and to be treated with such aggressive tactics? And well, of course, that's where it gets 10 times worse. See, according to Chris and the evidence that he presents, he never actually hurt anyone or intended to act violently. He posted this photo of himself during the protest. He's this individual here, wearing the American flag sweater, and he wrote, "When Antifa pushes you into a cop, then you get 12 years because he said he hurt his back 4 months later and 2 weeks after FBI agent Benjamin Fulp says you didn't hurt anyone." Now, of course, we can't verify if the individual who pushed him is actually Antifa or not, but apparently, he was pushed onto a Capitol Hill police officer, and they gave him 12 years for that. And supposedly, the officer that was the victim here never said anything, and then randomly after 4 months, came out to testify that he suffered a horrible back injury. The level of absurdity is just crazy. Oh, and I almost completely skipped the fact that the individual who was pressuring Mr. Quaglin in the video in the blue shirt, Mr. Benjamin Fulp, even at one point supposedly admitted that Quaglin never actually hurt anyone. So we had an individual here who was present during the protest, who got pushed onto a police officer. The police officer, from what we understand, initially never claimed to be injured, but then 4 months later came out saying he had a back injury. And Mr. Fulp, the cop who I guess was in charge of investigating this case, even admitted that nobody was seriously injured, yet they gave him 12 years. That's completely insane. That is just, it's insane. It's unjustifiable, especially considering all the violence that we saw coming from far-left agitators, Antifa types, Black Lives Matter protesters during the summer riots of 2020. We saw multiple police officers actually injured. We saw way worse actions, and the FBI barely lifted a finger. But with these guys, they took it to the next level. They threatened him with decades in prison and pressured him to flip on others, otherwise he would never see his family again. We also have this. Prosecutors urged the judge to sentence Quaglin to 14 years in prison. They said that he was one of the most violent rioters of January 6th when a mob of Donald Trump supporters disrupted the joint session of Congress for certifying President Joe Biden's 2020 electoral victory. The judge convicted Quaglin of 6 separate assaults on police. Prosecutors say that he struck or pushed another dozen officers. Now, we don't know the severity of any of these instances, and if anybody arguing that this guy was really so violent, well, I'd say please show us the video evidence. If it was so bad, if he was such a violent actor on the day of, you'd think that we'd see the evidence by now, right? You'd think that they would have presented something, especially as the left has been going on and on about how violent and terrible the day was. You'd think that this would basically make their case, but we've seen absolutely nothing. Certainly nothing to justify 12 years in prison, not to mention the torture that they put this man through.
Christopher Quaglin has been in custody since April 7th of last year, assaulting, resisting, impeding certain officers, using a dangerous weapon, a lot of allegations against him. He's in trouble legally and physically. He's lost 20 pounds since December. He's COVID-19 positive. He's in solitary confinement, and he has celiac disease, and his attorney tells us he's not being treated.
He is purposefully being starved. He's being denied medical treatment. This was recognized this week by multiple members of Congress. Just today, from the office of Congressman Clay Higgins, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and 12 other signees sent a letter to the top dog in the Bureau of Prisons, demanding answers about Christopher Quaglin and demanding answers about other people who have been mistreated. But Chris is in dire need of medical help. He's at risk of dying right now.
This man went through torture and inhumane treatment. It just seems totally unjustifiable. Now, am I saying that he acted totally perfectly the entire time? No, probably not, but 12 years in prison to face the pressure that he faced? In my view, there's only one way to justify the way that they acted. It was all political. It was about sending a message. I can't think of any other explanation, especially when you think about the amount of resources that were used to go after these people. I mean, they treated it as if they were going after the cartel, getting people to flip on each other. They wanted everybody. No mattress was left unturned. Not to mention, again, the report from CNN the other day telling us that over 5,000 FBI employees were involved in these prosecutions. It was all hands on deck. Going after Trump supporters became the #1 priority of the FBI. And really, it's not like they were even trying to hide it. Here's a clip from MSNBC that really puts it into perspective.
Christopher Wray walking out sends the clearest signal yet to the American people having any power in this moment. It's that they heard what Glenn's talking about, that actual FBI agents who stopped drug cartels, they were screwed because some of them had to go interview January 6th insurrectionists and their names were on a list. Christopher Wray told all of those people to investigate January 6th. Where is he?
They were taken off of important criminal cases to go after everyone. Not just the worst actors on the day, but literally everybody that they could possibly identify. They went after, they raided their homes, they arrested them, and then those people were treated absolutely horribly. Held in solitary confinement, delays to their court dates, being abused by prison staff. I mean, we've covered the stories over the years. Just horrible stuff. And I just don't see how you justify any of it. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.